Hey up everybody, my name is Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I wanted to have a look at Facebook because I saw this, right? Pit bulls in the adoption commercial versus pit bulls within 100 yards of an infant, right? And you got the one on the left and he's all looking sort of serious and suave and stuff, and he looks like a respectable person. And then you see him after the fact and he's all mental, and he's going to attack you and he's dangerous, just like pit bulls, right? So black people are just like pit bulls. They are just like dogs, okay? They start off all sweet and innocent, and then they'll come and attack you, right? But I think there's a little bit more to this, right? Because I looked at this and I was scrolling past and something caught my attention, right? So this guy looks a little bit, mental, right? Which is fair enough, right? I think we can all agree he does look a bit mental in this picture. But if you look down here, what the hell is this, right? So I looked at it and I thought, there's something not quite right about that. So I tried to look up, because I thought this was about, because on Facebook there's a bloke called Carmelo Anthony or something like that, who apparently, I don't know anything about it, but I think he shot someone, and then the family of that person started some fundraiser, and basically, it's only a thing that people on the right wing care about. Nobody that's on the left wing actually knows anything about this because they don't care about it. Right? But apparently this Carmelo Anthony fella, or apparently it's not Carmelo Anthony, because apparently that's a basketball player. So I don't know what's going on, right? Then there's self-defense claim, and then there's this bloke here who, right? So this is apparently something that has happened, right? But this isn't Carmelo Anthony, so I don't know who the fuck this is. How am I supposed to figure out who this is? Because the comments, it's just shit like this. I mean, look, we get it, right? The stereotype is black people like chicken, and KFC is one of the largest chicken chains in the world, right? So it's very funny that we see a black man going mental over chicken. It's fucking hilarious. 28 days later, it's just genius, because 28 days later was well known for this red filter that they put over it. Right? This is the pinnacle of what 28 days later was all about, right? Yeah. What, this poster? This is the joke. This is comedy fucking gold from Brad Crawford, right? You go further down. I have a feeling that the whole point of this is that they have taken this comment, which is probably actually about dogs, and taken it out of context to make it about black people. Right? I'm just trying to. Okay, I want to find out who the guy is, because that's kind of interesting. I want to know who that is. Right? So I can't find him through this for some reason. I have no idea why, but this is a very good example of what I kind of subject myself to on Facebook. The thing is, right, I go on Facebook because I have friends and stuff that post stuff that I like, right? And I tried to put them down in the close friends section, okay? But what ended up happening was I put them down in the close friends section, and then I just never saw their stuff again. So I now have a system where I click on different people's accounts and go through them to see what they've posted. So right-wing memes be like, old day, war, now day, gay. What happened? A supposed right-wing meme definitely written by someone on the left. Yeah. This... Then you get stuff like this. Like, just imagine if women couldn't use filters and makeup, right? They would have more spots and not look like that. Just imagine, right? This page comes up for me quite a lot, and it really irritates me. They've got a website, for fuck's sake. The fuck's on the website? So that... Oh. This account has been removed due to a breach of our community standards. Okay. Right, so... But I didn't want a link tree. It said womenbeingwomen.com. Like, hang on, womenbeingwomen.com. It's not, so it's not a real website. They bought the domain for womenbeingwomen.com for what, £13 a year? And then they set up this Linktree thing, which probably also like linked to, I bet there's a Women Being Women like Instagram and stuff. So if I just look up Women Being Women, it's probably going to come up with more stuff. Okay, they just have a Facebook page. It doesn't help that it's called Women Being Women, right? Because there's loads of articles that have women in it, right? But basically, they have this idea in this sphere of the internet, right, that women put makeup on as like a deceiving thing. So if you're a man and you see a woman and she looks nice, right, you ask her out, you take her on a date, you pay for her meal, right, you take her back to your place, right, put her on the bed, and she says, nah, I'm just going to go to the bathroom quick and I'm going to take my makeup off, right? You go, okay. And you're sat on the bed, right, just sort of with your arms back like this, just like, just taking a while. Then she comes back through, right, and suddenly she doesn't look like this anymore, right? Now she looks like this, and you've got to have sex with her. The deception, right, that's gone on there is absolutely fucking disgusting. Right? And I can't believe it. I can't believe that they would do this, that they would put paste on their face. It's outrageous, and I think that they should all be killed for like, how dare they, right? So much of this Facebook feed is just the worst stuff ever, right? Like, because life is not Netflix, so they have this idea that Netflix basically makes shows and they take all the people that are like nice people and make sure that they're cast by black, Arab, whatever people, right? And then you have villains, and we cast all the villains and all the mean people and all the nasty people as white people, right? So it's called race swapping, right? So you take all the good people and make them black, and you take all the bad people and make them white, right? But the thing is, they don't mention in these Facebook comments, right, which will all be about like, you know, oh, you know, Netflix gone woke. I can't believe they would do this. I can't believe that they would put black people in my films, right? They don't seem to bother recognizing the fact that race swapping has been around for like 100 years in cinema, but it's just always gone the other way around. I mean, look at this. John Wayne, Genghis Khan, right? And you're telling me this is a new thing, and they get annoyed when it happens now, but white people are removed. It's like, it's always been going on. Who gives a shit? It's a film, right? If you watch a film and you don't like it, you didn't like the film, all right? I've never seen The Conqueror, right, starring John Wayne. I like a few John Wayne movies, but I can't imagine this being very good, so I haven't watched it. I don't plan on watching it. I'm not interested. Same way I've not watched the new Snow White. It doesn't look good. It looks like a pile of shit. But shut the fuck up about it. I work in a pub, right? And there are solid like 60 to 70-year-old builder, plasterers, plumbers, right, that come in, their fucking overalls are all covered in fucking gunk, and they sit down and they order a beer, right? And then they go back to their table and they're arguing about fucking Snow White. What are they doing? Get a fucking life. None of you are going to see Snow White. None of you are going to engage with it. Your daughters might see it. My conspiracy here is that they have made Snow White be as controversial as possible amongst a demographic that is inherently not going to be watching it, right? So they're not going to lose any viewers from old men getting annoyed that Snow White is played by someone who isn't pearly fucking white, right? So they can go, oh yeah, but the original story, it mentions that Snow White was pearly white, right? Even though none of them have ever read the story. But the idea is, you get the dads and the mums all really, really aggravated, right? Then there's the teenage daughter who doesn't care about the original story, who'll go, my mum and dad really, really hate this Snow White thing. They're getting really incensed about it and getting really aggy about it, right? I know what I'll do. I'll go and watch the new Snow White just to say fuck you to them, right? And they'll do it as like a rebellious, even though a 13-year-old girl might not have been interested in Snow White because it's more for like a 7-year-old girl, right? She might watch it with her friends, and they might all go and watch it because, oh, my dad's constantly going on about Snow White, and I'm so sick of hearing about it. That was my best impression of a teenage girl. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's my conspiracy around Snow White, and it's why all this race swapping shit just flows right off me. I don't care. I don't care that Snow White is snow mildly tanned. I don't care that fucking they've race swapped what's the fucking one? The King of England, he's black in a wheelchair. King of England, black wheelchair. Yeah, this, right? Where is it? This fucking thing. I don't care, right? Because one, I'm not going to watch the show. Two, if I do watch the show and he takes me out of it, I'm going to stop watching the show, right? In that case, I might be a little bit annoyed that this guy took me out of the show. Okay. Three, say that happens and he takes me out of the show because he is black, gay and disabled, and I would be like, oh, the King of England isn't black, gay and disabled. I don't really know much about history, so I mean, I know there was never a king who was black, gay and disabled, but at the same time, I'm not looking at this as like a fucking historical document. I'm not really that concerned about it. But obviously, there are people out there that care more about history and historical accuracy in films than I do, right? But at the same time, would they be wanting to watch a show like this? I just wonder how much of this is actually, they're doing this because we want to represent the black, gay, disabled kings of the world, right? And how much of it is to get people talking about it, like me now, talking about this show that I don't even know what the show is. I'm not going to find out what the show is because I don't care what the show is. The show is not relevant, right? What is relevant is the outrage around this and the endless discourse and the discussion about it, right? This happened a fucking year ago, apparently. It's happened a year ago and I'm still hearing about this fucking gay, black and disabled King of England, right? He's getting replaced by Snow White. What was it before that? Probably Brie Larson in Captain Marvel, right? Because she was a bit of a knob. What was the thing with that anyway? I think it was Brie Larson, let's say controversy. Brie Larson has faced controversy primarily due to her strong stance on feminism. Fucking hell, oh dear. Okay. From what I can tell, she talks about feminism, but so have other people, yet I don't see her being so hated. Emma Watson is a big actress for feminism, and even though she doesn't get her entire identity boiled down to just feminism and only feminism, another common argument people like to bring out is the Endgame interview where Chris Hemsworth, where he made a joke and Brie took it as an insult. Okay. So she took offense to a joke. That's the worst thing you can do now, by the way, is take offense to a joke. Honestly, if you take offense to a joke, you are now worse than fucking Stalin, right? You can't get worse than being offended by a joke, right? Which I find really weird, because have we not all been offended by a joke at some point in our fucking lives? When someone has just said some shit that's just like... And you're meant to laugh at it? Or you ever been sat at a table and let's say high school, right? And people are joking and you're listening to all these jokes and they're all so fucking shit. These jokes are the shittest jokes you can possibly imagine, right? And I'm meant to sit there guffawing along with them like I'm a fucking seal, right? No, your jokes are shit. Sorry, right? But your jokes are just really bad, okay? And, if you just randomly just insult, I don't know, my heritage or whatever, I'm meant to sit there and be like, oh yeah, it was funny because it's so accurate, I just don't quite understand that. I've had a lot of jokes, for instance, about my height, right? Am I meant to laugh at them all? And if I don't laugh at them, that means I'm offended by them. And if sometimes people say them in quite mean ways, and they say them in ways that are obviously designed to elicit a negative reaction out of me, right? So if I react in a negative way, I'm just giving them what they want. But say if they didn't actively want a negative reaction, say that was incidental, is that better? Or has that made me worse because I am now offended at an innocent joke, right? I don't quite know the answer to all of that, but I do think it's interesting to try and lay this out in a linear sort of thing, because at the moment, for the past 10 years, there's been all this like PC woke, oh, you can't say anything now without getting cancelled. Oh, you can't be offensive anymore. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do that. You have to be super kind to everyone. It's like, hang on, right? I feel like what's been happening in the last sort of 10 years with regards to comedy is that it's just gone more meta, and it's sort of circling in and in and in, and the gravitational pull of this topic of cancelling people over comedy or whatever has kind of, almost a gravitational pull that is drawing all comedy in to this one topic. Look at Ricky Gervais's new fucking special. It's just endless bitching and whining about I said something on Twitter and someone said that I'm a knob. Oh, and then this woman over here. Oh, well, she's actually got a penis. Oh, but you can't say that. Oh, for God's sake. And he goes on for like an hour about that. Like the second you say anything that's outside of this PC thing, that you're just going to get thrown off the fucking boat. Like, you've got to walk the plank. There's no plank, there's no boat, there's the fucking world and the civilization that we live in, right? Where there are different groups, and different groups like different things. If I go to Arabia and say that Allah is a knobhead, right, they're not going to like that, right? If I go into a gay community and I say all gays should be killed, they're not going to like that. If I go into the Christian church and I just say, yeah, Jesus took it up the arse, they're not going to like that, all right? And when you come up to me and you go, oh, you're such a fucking tall fucking stick man, do you play basketball? Right? I'm 6'9" or something, right? I'm so bored of these comments, right? But at the end of the day, it's what happens. You go through this sort of thing. This is part of life, right? And everyone accepts that. The blue-haired people that you think live in a fucking bubble, right? In a university safe space, they have it as well, where they're going into out groups that will reject them, and they reject people that are in the out group from them, right? It happens everywhere to every single kind of person, and it's all right, okay? As long as there's enough community to go around, right, where no one gets completely isolated if they're a decent person, right? And there's at least one or two sort of things out there for people, opportunities for social interaction and, togetherness, then I think we're doing okay. If there's a nice little space for the gays to hang out, and a nice little space for the Christians to hang out, and a nice little space for everyone to hang out, then we're doing something right, okay? And you notice that on Facebook, all of these groups come together, right? And they don't like each other, and they just sit around making each other miserable, right? That's all that happens on this Facebook thing, right? Like, look at this. This is, right, men don't understand why we choose the bear. That was a big thing last year, where people wouldn't shut up about how some women said that they would literally prefer a bear over a man because, not all bears have the potential to, because even though a bear could maul you and kill you, a bear won't, gaslight you into thinking that you deserve the abuse that you're getting, or take control over your finances or whatever, that kind of thing. So at least a bear won't do that. It will just kill you, right? So it was a little bit of a thought experiment slash kind of that university student kind of, oh, I want to kill myself sort of joke thing, right? But it's got taken so literally, right? And sure, some people do mean it literally, right, in varying degrees of literalness, right? Some people mean it completely literally, some people mean it in a more metaphorical sense, and some people are somewhere in between where they say it literally, but maybe, you know, once they actually got thrown into a bear den, they'd probably say, "Can I get out, please?" Which is a fine reaction to being thrown into a fucking pit with a bear, right? Because, like, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a pit with a bear either, right? It's a totally fine reaction. Okay? Because the whole point of the conversation wasn't about the bear in the first place. It was about why a lot of men can be quite dangerous, right? You hear about men's worst experiences with women, and it's usually, "Oh, she was a bitch, she cheated on me, she did this, blah, 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 blah," right? Then you ask women, and it's like, "Oh yeah, he fucking throttled me until I nearly died, and he punched me in the face," right? And then he took control over my phone, and he cut off all my contacts from all my friends and family, and cut off my support network, and isolated me, and made me think that I deserved it all, right? So, not really the same, okay? And yeah, sure, someone will come up and go, "Oh yeah, but women can be abusive as well," and then they'll show like a few, you know, some random video of a woman being abusive in a home, and it'll be one of those really distressing feeling ones. I don't like those. You know, the ones where it's like clearly filmed on a phone, it's clearly a real situation. They really get the jitters going. I don't like them, right? But they'll send you one of those and go like, "Yeah, see, women can be abusive too." And then you go, "Well, yeah, but hang on, look at the statistics here, isn't?" I mean, what I can't be bothered to look at the statistics, but we know that men are going to be the ones doing it more often. But that's not me throwing every single man ever under the bus. But I feel like all of these layers of asterisks don't exist to Chris Smith, them after seeing this post. "You're the reason we chose the bear. I'm lamb and me. Once they find out the bear has no money, they will soon lose interest." Literally not the same women, but okay. Close. This guy's alright, I guess. Nathaniel Bradford, can I watch from a safe distance when you meet up with that understanding bear? Maybe try to give it a big hug and kiss for good measure, right? Men who want to see women killed by a bear is why women choose bears. Bears can be very dangerous and can kill a person if spooked, but they don't go out of their way to fantasize and crave violence against women like you currently are. Yeah. No, I don't wish anyone harm. With my experience of people, I've found that if they are determined enough to prove their point, they are willing at times to us themselves as an example in real life, even if it will potentially cost them their life. Oh my fucking God, it just keeps going. Jesus Christ. How was I meant to read all that? I know it's like quite thin, so it's longer than it might seem. So it's maybe only a paragraph, but Jesus, I'm in the middle of a video here. Oh yeah, do you remember the makeup thing from earlier? They love makeup and how makeup makes someone look nice, right? Or that people like to wear it and think of it as a way of expressing themselves. They hate the idea of that, right? And what I wonder is, why don't these blokes just start wearing makeup as well? If you can't beat them, join them. But saying that, no, don't do that. Can you just keep making these memes and not do that, please? Because I don't want to have the expectation on me to have to wear makeup in a professional or societal, social fucking event, right? I'm going to see some mates later, right? I am going to leave the house at 6 p.m. and I'm going to meet them at 7 p.m., right? If I was a woman, I'd have to do fucking makeup because I'd be expected to. Because then, you know, everyone's going to be wearing makeup. I need to look pretty for it, right? How long does it take to do makeup? Probably like an hour. I don't know. It takes a fucking long time. Whenever I've been with a girl and they're sort of like doing the makeup, it just seems like it keeps going. It's not like brushing your teeth. It's like brushing your teeth like 10 times, right? And I just don't have the energy to do that, right? I'm not interested in brushing my teeth that many times. So this is Dylan Mulvaney, who's a transgender woman who took this picture for some reason, and they're all going mental about it. And then this is another thing I noticed. is that they make up these random arguments that people don't make and then respond to them. So it's a forearm skin meat tunnel vagina. It's the same thing. I don't know anyone who's said that, so I don't know why we're going on about it, right? As I'm from the UK, I can legally say that he is not a woman. You would have been able to do that even if it was the other way around, man. Even if that... Basically, he's talking about this recent thing that came out that in the UK government that said if like transgender women aren't the same as biological women, for the purposes of data, statistics, definitions, and the 14 excluding qualifiers for workplace discrimination, right? Doesn't really impact this, so I don't really see. But this is the thing. They take these random issues that no one cares about really, like transgender or makeup or women choosing the bear or fucking like some black guy being in a film where the character originally was white, right? And they take all this shit and they make a new world in their heads where everything is loopy and where nothing makes sense. And they explain how nothing makes sense by there being this group of mysterious, evil, woke people that come in and just destroy everything, right? And take away all the common sense from the world, right? And why are they doing this? Because they're being paid by the Jews and I guess the Muslims as well, right? And we're getting very far into the right-wing side of things now. And then how are we going to solve this? Because the Jews are bringing in all these immigrants, right? How are we going to solve that? Well, Hitler memes. I've seen proper full-on Hitler memes that are like praising Hitler, right? Which is, yeah. I mean, I thought that, you know, Hitler was like the most common, more boring, bog-standard portrait of evil, but apparently now we have to start wondering if there was actually some moral, you know, confusion about him. Which, no, there wasn't. Believe it or not, killing like 10 million people in a Holocaust isn't good, right? Believe it or not, invading Europe isn't a very nice thing to do, and killing everyone along the way and making people wear patches and stuff. It's not on, right? None of that is a good thing. Stop doing that and stop praising that, right? This is why I've been saying in various videos that we are slipping into fascism, right? And I do feel like we are, because at the moment in the UK, nationalistic rhetoric is really coming through. You know, we've got, if I go on this, right, and I just type in Britain, right, I should come up with something. I wonder if there'll be like an official United Kingdom page. Proud to be British. Okay. I just want like just a page. I want something that helps me make my point. That's the thing. A lot of these are kind of boring. This one might work. This one might work. I used to get them a lot more. I don't get them as much anymore, but it's like, you know, the lion. You know how the lion is the symbol of the UK for some fucking reason? Well, I used to get loads of stuff about that, and yeah, there we go. EU hands out £60 million lifeline for French fishermen. The EU has approved this in compensation for French fishermen for losses caused by Brexit. Okay. I don't really care. Boris Johnson has greenlit funding for a new multi-billion-pound nuclear power station. Oh, that sounds good. I don't remember that. Yeah, I don't remember any of this. So, did they make it? Because this is a couple of years ago. Okay, so they've apparently started constructing it. They apparently started making it in 2023. It's going to cost probably £50 billion because it says 20 to 35 billion. So add more because everything costs more than we think. So I got to wait for the click. Well, no, you twat. I'm not finished. Thank you. Jesus. Sorry about that. Just cut out. I'm wrapping it up anyway, so. What have we learnt today? Not much. We've kind of just been getting annoyed at the Facebook feed, right? And I've just been enjoying it, right? So, what should you be doing, right? Because I don't think I am doing this in the healthiest way possible, right? Lately, my mental health has been a little bit all over the place. Maybe that is because, in fact, most definitely it's because I'm looking at bullshit on the internet, right? So there's only one solution to this, and that is this. Block. Get out of here. I don't want to see this shit no more. I don't want to see it. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I don't give a shit. Block. This one's okay. That was a shit accent. This is... I have no idea who Brian Johnson is. Okay. Right. I'm just going to block everything. I didn't mean to report it. Fuck it. No, not for suicide. Seems like human trafficking. Go on then. Fuck off. I don't want to go away. It is vaguely funny. I'm just trying to find some things to... See, now it's hard, right? To get rid of all of these. I'm just trying to... I want more stuff like this. You know, just guitar music, guitar playing. I like that. I like a bit of that. I'm not interested in people getting annoyed at dating apps for having skanks on them. I'm not interested in the Colombian Post getting annoyed at people for dyeing their hair. I'm not interested in AI-generated bullshit about how women are annoying. I'm not interested in sponsorship bastarding crap about Bicester Village, or however you pronounce this stupid place. I can't even get rid of it. There we go. Right. I'm not interested in... Okay, fine. I'm not interested in this weird fucking shit. I'm not interested in... Oh, actually, hang on. I'm not interested in this trying to appease the billionaires bullshit. I'm not interested in this triggered snowflake bullshit, even though right now I obviously am a triggered snowflake, right? It's the middle of April, right? And I'm melting, and that's why I'm screaming, because I'm melting, and melting probably would hurt quite a lot. Oh yeah, this is the Carmelo Anthony guy. The thing that only the right wing seem to care about, but no one on the left has ever mentioned. So I still have no idea what's going on in this meme. This is why I also don't like, because I have to figure out what order to read things in. That's why I hate Twitter, because you just have to start down here, and you have to go up, and then if there's a response to this, you got to go down again. It's like, how am I supposed to know all of that, right? How am I supposed to find the order out? It's like cracking the fucking enigma. Right, but according to black people, it's black logic to take a knife, to track meat, and to provoke an attack because you know you have a knife. Carmelo would have just left if he didn't have the knife. It takes a coward and a person of low character to do what Carmelo did. I don't know what Carmelo did. Well, he bought a knife. Is it that he bought a knife? Well, who's this? What people don't understand is that skin colour has nothing to do with it, and the facts and the situation surrounding the incident. You can't compare every self-defense case. I wish people would stop making it about race. This is not a self-defense case. This is a murder case. No, it's just murder of a young man by another young man. Yes, indeed agree. 100, 100, 100, 100. Murder is murder, period. I swear there was a thing about that being like a neo-Nazi sign, but the reason that they chose that as the neo-Nazi sign was because it's so, like, it's the OK sign, isn't it? Right? So if I was to point out that there's the neo-Nazi sign, I can just point and laugh at them for going, hey, he thinks that doing that is a neo-Nazi sign. Hey, isn't he stupid? Right? But at the same time, the neo-Nazis are using it amongst one another, right? So it is a neo-Nazi sign. Just because just because the neo-Nazis are sending Hello Kitty to one another, doesn't mean they're not using the Hello Kitty as a fucking enigma thing, as a way of, what's the word? Dog whistle to one another, right? And dog whistling doesn't necessarily have to be a terrible thing. It's about who's doing the dog whistling, right? Say if the French resistance in World War II, I bet they used loads of dog whistles to try and find one another in amongst the Nazi spies, right? And they probably did loads of dog whistling, and it probably saved their lives. So it's okay. I don't hate dog whistling in and of itself. I hate Nazis, right? That's the key difference here. So I want to try and wrap this up by just saying that Facebook does occasionally have something nice to offer, right? I found a few jobs on Facebook. I remember I worked in for a food exhibition, right? You remember those what are they? It's like canned water, but it's like fizzy canned water with flavours. They came out with that a few years ago, right? I got to have them before they hit the market, right? That's my claim to fame, right? I got to test out that kind of water. It's god-awful water, I hate it. But basically my job was, I actually don't know what my job was. It was like sort of events, like, helping out, moving chairs and tables and like making sure that people know that they can go into this presentation now, that kind of thing, right? So I spent a lot of time just sitting in the back of presentations, just seeing pictures for, like random bottles of water or bits of food. Because it's basically people come in and they say, right, we have this food product we want to put on the market. And then there's a load of distributors and people who own parts of the supply chain who go, oh, I'd like to have that. We'll take that on. Right? So I had a lot of chats with very eccentric Americans. I tried to, make those connections last for longer, but I didn't really succeed at that. It's also not my industry anyway. But I found it on Facebook. So I managed to get this out of Facebook. What else have I found? I bought this camera. Oh no, I didn't buy this camera on Facebook. What did I buy? Bought this camera on Facebook. This was 40 quid on the marketplace. Also, you can get free stuff on the marketplace. You got your local like community groups and stuff. I sort of stay on the ones that are like my family, where my family live. I kind of keep up to date with what's going on there, so that I can call my aunt and go, did you know that there's a bloke who apparently went down Kingston High Road who's a bit of a mentalist and he I don't know, did something. Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Oh, great, cool, me too. Wow, what a fun interaction that was. But, I can do that now. I've got to keep in touch, haven't I? So, you got that. Sometimes you get cute shit like this. That's quite nice, right? And there's what I'm really meant to be getting is my friends, right? I want my friends on here, right? But I don't get that. I get shit like this, right? Who cares? Oh, fucking Frankenstein's monster got misunderstood. Oh, I don't care. I do know that I just said who cares to the Pope, by the way. That was on purpose. I don't care that the Pope died. Right? You get just so much garbage, right? So what I did is I followed a load of like guitar pages, right? And I tried to make it just full of guitar stuff because I like guitars and they're a nice, non-controversial. No one's going to be like triggering one another or like posting woke, anti-woke bullshit on fucking Guitars for Sale UK, right? But didn't work, so now I get shit like this. And look, I agree with it. Doesn't mean it's not garbage though. I'm gonna leave you with that, right? Because dark humour just has been getting on my nerves lately. Because it is just kind of not. I don't find dark humour particularly funny. I like dry, sardonic, sarcastic, observational humour, right? Dark humour to me is sort of, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill myself. Go on then. It just irritates me because I know the joke is that they don't actually think this thing, right? It's like, you know, when you see sort of people who like do the ironic being a Nazi thing, and they're a Nazi ironically, right? But they do it for such a long period of time. How are you supposed to even know that they are doing it ironically? At what point does it stop being irony? It's like when I started saying bruv and like in it, right? I started doing that because I was taking the piss out of chavs, right? And I was just having a laugh of it and doing it ironically. Now I just say bruv and in it, just as is part of my normal lingo, right? So you take something on as a joke and it becomes who you are, right? Same way, you know, you've watched a sitcom like 20 times. You're not laughing at the stuff anymore, like outright. You're not like actively ha-ha laughing. You're kind of mentally laughing. You're recognizing that there is humor to be found in this, and you have found it, and you are enjoying being with your humor, right? And it's nice and it's fun, right? But at the same time, you've found that thing, right? So I think I'm going to close it out here because I think I've finally run out of stuff to say. So I'm going to head off. Been a good one. It's been a bit fun going through Facebook, exploring the internet with you. If you want me to explore the internet more, I'm afraid I'm only going to do it when I feel like, because I'm going to be honest, I shouldn't be doing this. It's not good for me to be looking at this bullshit, right? I don't want to be exposing myself to this garbage, right? And yet I do, right? I'm going to leave you with this one, actually, because I like this. This is relatable, right? It's fine. It's a interesting thing that is mentioned, and it's gotten into a very specific action that I do and commenting on it in a observational way. And that's nice, right? I don't really see how the picture relates to it. I mean, I get that, you know, as a sign for shush. It's a universal sign for shush, right? But I don't really see why we need the image. But the image is helping. I know it's not in a logistical analysis sense, more of just a vibe thing. The image is kind of helping, right? You don't want to overthink a meme, right? You don't want to be one of those people that analyzes a fucking meme. You don't want to look too deep into something. And that's another, and I think that should be my conclusion actually, is that a lot of this, like, sort of stuff is about looking into it too much. You don't want to look into a joke on 4chan with any sort of level of sincerity, because it's just a joke on 4chan. Even though all the people on there, you know, when they get off the computer and they go back to their normal lives, they're sitting with all that humour in their brain, right? It's not like that just gets put out, right? And then it's just forgotten about, and then, or they only do it sometimes as a bit of a joke. No, they're constantly doing it. So they're obviously thinking about this stuff a lot more in non-jokey ways. When they're not communicating it, they're not just making the joke to themselves. They're sat there internalising that bigotry, that dark sense of humour, sorry, right? And yeah, that's pretty much the video. I'm going to close it out here. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Is there anything that I've said that you massively disagree with? This is probably the most honest look you're going to get into my political beliefs. Mainly that I don't care that the Pope died. And yeah, take care everybody, and bye-bye.